So, I want to start with a question. It's a gentle one, but it's also really powerful. And I'm not talking about some big dramatic day, not a day filled with crisis or anything like that, just a completely normal, everyday kind of day. Yeah, just an ordinary day. The kind where you wake up, you have your coffee, you head off to work. Maybe you exchange a few messages throughout the day, talk about what's for dinner, and then at the end of it all, you just go to sleep. Simple as that. Think about it. If that were the last day, would you speak a little differently, be a bit more patient? Maybe you'd pause for a second before reacting, right? You see, in so many relationships, affection and care, they kind of get postponed. We fall into this trap of thinking, there's always another day to say something kind, or we'll fix that little hurt later. But here's something really important to grasp. Relationships don't usually weaken because people stop loving each other. They weaken because those small, daily acts of care and love just slowly get delayed. And that's why today we're going to dive into this simple, but honestly incredibly powerful idea. Living like today really matters in your relationship because that feeling of emotional closeness, it doesn't just happen on its own. It grows when we start to treat these ordinary days with just a little bit of extraordinary care. Okay, so let's get into this. Let's talk about this idea of emotional postponement. It's actually one of the most common patterns you see in long-term relationships, and it's this subtle but really powerful force that can creep in. Basically, it's when we start assuming that connection, that closeness, will just always be there for us later on, sometime in the future. You know the drill, right? Later, we'll talk about it. Later, we'll fix this. Later, we'll appreciate each other. I mean, we've all said these things, haven't we? But here's the catch. That real emotional connection, it isn't built in big, grand gestures. It's built in the small, daily attention we give to each other. The little things, the kind words, those moments of patience. And every time we skip those moments, a tiny bit of emotional distance starts to grow between us. It's subtle, but it's very real. And that really brings us to a core truth about relationships, doesn't it? They aren't just built on vacations or anniversaries. They're forged in the day-to-day, in the tone of your voice when you say hello, in the patience you show during a little disagreement, in just being willing to say, hey, I appreciate you. Okay, so let's make this super practical. Let's look at how this can play out in a real-life moment, a moment that could go in two totally different directions. So picture this. It's a pretty common evening scenario. Both of you are tired. Maybe one of you just got home from a long day at work. The other's been handling things at home. You can just feel it, right? There's a little bit of tension in the air. And the conversation starts with a small, simple frustration. You didn't respond to my message earlier. And right here, we see the fork in the road. Path number one is the defensive response. It's easy to go there, right? I was busy. Why are you making a big deal about it? And boom. Just like that, things escalate. But what if in that one moment there was a small shift? What if one of you took a breath and just remembered, today matters? And instead of just reacting, you choose to respond with care. Something like, you're right, I'm sorry I didn't respond sooner. Instantly, the whole feeling of the conversation changes. All because care was chosen over defensiveness. And this is so crucial. Because it's in these tiny moments that we stop small tensions from hardening into that long-term emotional distance. See, resentment in a relationship, it usually doesn't just show up overnight. It's something that builds up really slowly over time. It's like planting little seeds, A little bit of unspoken appreciation here, some unacknowledged effort there, a few misunderstandings that never got repaired, and before you know it, something has grown. And as all those little hurts and misunderstandings pile up, one or both of you can start to feel this really subtle but deeply painful thing. Maybe my presence just isn't even noticed anymore. But here's the good news. Here's the beautiful thing. Daily appreciation is the pattern interrupter. When we make a real conscious effort to express our gratitude, we create a much safer emotional space. We help each other feel seen. We help each other feel valued again. So, okay, how do we actually do this? How do we put this into practice? Well, here is a super simple but truly transformative exercise that so many couples have found helpful. Let's call it the night appreciation ritual. It's so simple, but it's incredibly powerful. All you do is this. Before you go to sleep each night, you take just 1 minute. 1 minute to share one thing you appreciate about your partner. And there's only one rule. No criticism. No trying to solve problems. This is just for pure, simple appreciation. And it doesn't have to be anything huge. It can be super simple. For example, you could say something like, I really appreciated how you handled that stressful phone call today. Or, thank you for making time to listen to me earlier when I was stressed. It could even be something bigger, like, I'm just so grateful for the life we're building together. I know this ritual might sound small, but when you do it consistently, it builds something so powerful, emotional closure for the day. It's like you're both saying, hey, no matter what happened today, no matter what little arguments we had, we are still on the same team. And that is such a powerful message to end your day on. Because ultimately, the goal of all of this is pretty simple. It's to stop that quiet, creeping emotional distance from growing between you over time. When you end your days with appreciation, something amazing starts to happen. Your mind lets go of tension, your heart remembers why you're connected, and your relationship gets a chance to just reset emotionally every single night. It's just so important to remember this. Relationships rarely break because of one big dramatic thing. They get weaker when we miss all those little tiny opportunities for kindness that every day gives us. But, and this is the beautiful part, the opposite is also true. Our relationships grow stronger. They become more resilient when we learn to treat these everyday moments with care. A kind word, a patient response, a simple thank you. Trust me, these are not small things. They're the very building blocks of emotional safety in your relationship. Because when you start living like today truly matters, love stops feeling like just a routine, and it starts feeling meaningful again. Now, before we wrap up, if this message has really resonated with you and you'd like to go a little deeper into these ideas, I do have a couple of resources. My Kindle book, Harmonious Marriage, is all about helping couples understand and break free from these kinds of negative patterns. And if you're someone who is drawn to the wisdom of ancient traditions, I also have a second book called Mantras of Love, which is based on Hindu wisdom. You can find the links for both of those right in the description below. And hey, if you believe that relationships really do grow stronger through awareness and empathy, I'd love for you to subscribe to Resolve Together. Because at the end of the day, the truth is really simple. Don't postpone affection. The relationship you nurtured today is the relationship you get to keep tomorrow.